Okay, so this is the review you wanted. This is of your Zen and Kiriko gameplay, pretty much. So let's begin. The first point, there wasn't really much for me to say. A little bit over-aggressive, but that's understandable. You guys are in the lead. So then the issues come with second point. One thing that I'm gonna overall state, because I'm not just gonna show you an example every time you did this wrong. You don't use your orbs enough, or properly. For the most part, you like to keep your orb on the tank. It doesn't always need to be on the tank. In this case, the way you were playing Zen, you were constantly with the tank, so that was fine. But when you have heal orb out, you normally want it to be on an ally that you guarantee is going to be within your vicinity, or like their player model is able to be consistently seeing your player model the entire time. This might end up being an Echo. Probably should have been the Echo, to be honest, in this game mode, because Echo is a bit harder for a Moira to heal. And the Echo's not always going to be playing with the team, but especially on this point, fucking Kevin. Especially around this point, it's fairly open, so Echo should just be able to consistently peek you to reset the 3-second countdown. And then for Discord, you just don't Discord enough. You only ever Discord if you're directly shooting at a target. If there's an enemy that you see, any enemy that steps into your line of sight should get the Discord, or any enemy that you spot that's out of position should get the Discord, because Discord melts, as we know. The 30% increased damage, that absolutely melts anyone. It was a bit harder to do it against their tank, considering they're playing a Reinhardt, so you would be looking to see an overextended soldier, Mercy flying through the air, Reaper if he was trying to flank. You'd Discord that, call that out, spam ping it, whatever, and you just force them out. Just pressure them out. Zen is all about pressure, and being able to pressure characters to not take space or control a certain area of the map. Okay, now we could actually get into the video. So this first one is going to be just a stupid death of you. So let's just watch. Yeah, so you're very overly extended here. Well, I mean, taking this side was fine if you continued moving left and holding this angle. If you want to hold this angle and peek this angle every once in a while, sure. This is a fine thing to hold, as long as you're aware of this section. Because then if someone decides to peek you here, you gotta be careful, make sure you're not getting peeked on both sides, or else you're a bit screwed in this position. But overall, this is fine. I have no complaints, because I would probably do the same angle. So, let's see, here, you continue to overly peek this, which ends up getting you killed. The soldier takes advantage of him having a mercy pocket on him, so he's able to just absolutely melt you and then eventually kill you, because you're a very low mobile character, so you're not really going to be able to dodge his shots too effectively. And that's kind of exactly what happens here. So on to the next thing. Okay, starting here, this is actually, it's a good, you had the right idea, very right idea. Good charge, good early charge here, you end up getting the Kiriko. Yeah, that's a good kill. This is a good flank, good kill. Your team is there, and then you're also peeking the run, so you can keep orb on him. Up next, now what should you do? You should be looking to pressure. You should be looking to assist the Rhine from a distance. You do this, but you don't need to go on a point here. There's no need for you to extend on a point. You can hold this angle and you could still shoot that Rhine that got stunned by Earth. You could be playing cover here, or you could be playing this side because you know the soldier's there. Soldier's less likely to rush all the way around here or over into that to peek you and kill you, because he's likely to die. So next time, try to hold this corner instead of aggressing onto them. So let me just show you exactly what happens here because of your over-aggression. See, you're in a very, very dangerous position and then getting your killed. As we already knew, this soldier loves taking advantage of you and just kind of absolutely destroying you. And if it wasn't the soldier, you would have died to the Death Blossom. Okay, up next. Okay. This next one is the last fight you have right before point ends. Number one, I'm going to say, you have trans, okay? This is a very winnable fight, especially since you know they have Visor active. You can keep your Orisa and whoever else is around you alive using trans. I'm assuming, I know you like to be in game chat, so you could definitely just be calling, I'm going to trans here, we could aggress on a point and hold point using trans. You should be doing that, because especially now you're also seeing Suzu's out, so they have no Suzu. Visor's going to be out by the time you touch. Well, it's out right now. So it's Visor's out, and you guys have trans, and if we look at the rest of your ults, sure, Widow's dead, Lights isn't crazy useful, but you're also coming up on duplicate from Echo. So you should know, if we could just hold point for just a couple of seconds, we could possibly get our Echo ult up, and that could make a difference in this match, which is not what happens, which is going to lead to my next point here. So, number one, you don't pop trends. You charge volley a lot more than you should. You don't always need to be charge volleying. Sure, it's a quick burst of a lot of high damage, but you're not often going to be hitting that high damage, okay? So you want to be looking to, just be looking to use the normal shot and just look to one tap, or just keep trying to work on that accuracy. Sure, it's a projectile and it's not as quick, but you're able to get out more damage more accurately using the regular shot. You get a little too kill thirsty here, which just also ends up leading to you not taking point, because you know the slowness. You should be aware of the slowness that comes with using charge volley. So you're already slowed when you try to aggress on a point. Sure, Orissa's pushing him out, but if you just transed on a point, you guys could have held this. So, not to completely blame you, but you guys could have held this if you decided to ult here. And other than that, just you don't always need to be charge volleying. It's good when you're at longer ranges and when you're not actually in a fight. But here you're in a fight, you're trying to get a kill, you should be using the normal shot for him. Okay. Alright. This next one, this is your first death on third point. I believe we both know what happens here. But we're just going to watch, and I'm going to tell you what could have been better. So, there. You just get melted by the soldier who can aim. I watched his POV. It was just he hit his shots. You're like I stated the first time, you died to soldier and not really respecting the pocket. He may not have the pocket this time, but he does have high ground advantage, as well as his ability to, as well as your lack of a lack of mobility. So he just took advantage of that, and you not rotating around this pillar instead. You just decide to go main and take the full brunt of his attack. It's hard to predict if you're ever actually going to be in this fight again, because it's more soldiers very overextended. See, he still has 2 over here and 2 over here, so it's really hard. The soldier's overextended, but it does end up costing you your life, and I believe he is able to escape. So best I can state for this is just be more ready for the fight next time it happens. Next time he aggresses. Not next time he aggresses, but just be more prepared to get into a fight earlier in the opening phase of the game. Okay. This next point kind of goes with the last point as well. So you've now swapped to Kiriko, which is fine. I have no problems with the swaps that you make. But you love to be with your tank. You really love it. I know you have a Widow, so you don't necessarily need to be with her, and you have an Ashe. You could TP to both of them, but you love to aggress in with your tank. This is not always a necessity, especially because you can heal from a distance. Sure, it's a bit slower, but you don't need to be as close range as Moira does for healing. You could be healing him from this angle, and you don't need to be aggressing onto the Reaper that's right here. So instead, you could have held that back angle, and you wouldn't ended up in this position where you lose 120, or get brought down to 120, and then even down to near killable by the soldier, because you overextend and you decide to rotate into this building, which is not a favorable position for you, especially because 4 of them have sightlines on you, and your tank can't really assist you too much in this position. Yeah, so you could have very easily been picked off if this was a different team. Just as a future reference. Yeah, so you do end up surviving it, but that's... yeah. Okay, just a little bit more. Okay, next up. Just 2 more things. You didn't give me an exact, what you wanted to go over with this, so I'm just gonna go over every, micro and macro thing I feel that could have been better from you. So here, I actually don't even need to be watching your POV. So we just look at the enemy's or your team's positioning and your enemy's positioning. Number 1, we're already decently into the fight, 50-3. That's actually a decent amount into the fight. We know your team has ults, and that makes us assume that the other team also has to have ults. Okay, so this is what I'm more going to be pointing out here. Sure, yeah, we see the Reaper TP. Very stupid TP if this was a competitive team. And you do decide to back up, which is smart, but we don't respect the Rhine Shatter. We need to be prepared for the Rhine to shatter, which is not what we were. We saw the 1v1 over here, So we have to be playing a bit more out of his sightlines, or what his expected sightlines could be. Meaning, you kind of want to be either playing over here, or if you want to be keeping your tank up, play up top here. Especially since the Reaper just TP'd in, you could just TP up to her, or even TP around to her. Hold a more favorable angle for yourself. Here would have been fine, because you knew your tank was backing up. And then you'd also, I don't think you have Suzu. Yeah, oh no, you do have Suzu. Yeah, you have Suzu. You probably could have gotten your tank back up faster. So just be a bit more aware of when the enemy might have an ultimate, and where you should be positioned to face that ultimate. Okay, this is the last thing, okay? This is just primarily about your ult. So yeah, you guys end up you take advantage here. So if we look up here, we have 2 of them dead. They have their Kiriko and Reaper dead. And we can see that we already have the aggression we have Rommel up, it's able to hit the Mercy, and it's able to hit, and he's already aggressing onto the Reinhardt. And that's all they really have nearby, because their Mei has been completely split from the team. The Widow is going to be able to pick that off, and so is the Echo. I'm not sure, and also Rush doesn't necessarily help with this Mei. So what I'm trying to say primarily here is, I'm not sure how valuable your ult was, or how much value you really got out of this Kitsune rush, especially because you already had 1 ult up, as well as Lights apparently. I mean, like I said previously, Lights isn't crazy useful. It's more of a opening thing. It's more of a post and pre-fight kind of start. But yeah, you could have saved Rush for the final fight, or not the final fight, but like the next fight in a couple of seconds, which you guys do end up losing. There wasn't too much I could say about that, because you guys, these 2 end up getting picked off. She gets picked by Echo. She just gets picked, I don't even know how she does, doesn't really matter. It weren't completely on you, so you can't really blame you for that. You're keeping Echo up, and you're trying your best to keep Ram up, but you guys are just down at this point, so you end up losing final point. But I think if you had Rush for this final point, you definitely would have stood a much better chance. So a bit of an unnecessary Rush. Other than that, Kay, it wasn't horrible. I know you're not a support player, so let me know if this was helpful to you, or if not.